Thank you. Back to the door, please. Oh man, I got a sinus headache, I think, or a migraine. I don't know, whatever it is. It's coming in kind of dull and throbby, and I don't think it's gonna get better anytime soon. I should probably try to get something to help me with that. I'm not sure where I would do that though. It's the only bus transfer I got where I'm getting off, and as you can see, there's really nothing here. Oh, by the way, date and time, 6:28 p.m. Friday, March 4th, 2022. Yeah, I just got off the 50. For some reason, it was running like 4 minutes late, which, yeah, buses that are 4 minutes late from the beginning of their run, when they're coming from a spot where they're just sitting camping, those frustrate me more than anything, because that just means the driver sat at that spot longer than they were supposed to sit at that spot and doesn't care enough about their job and doesn't care enough about the people who utilize buses to actually leave on time. So yeah, hate that. Absolutely hate that. I mean, 4 minutes didn't make a difference, but it could have. So the 60 should be along, I think, within about 5-6 minutes, more or less. Not entirely sure where it's physically coming from. This is the stop that it's its first stop. And yesterday, when I was talking about an incident where a bus camping, or maybe it was the day before that, I was talking about an incident where a bus was camping at a bus stop, and it was blocking the bus stop for the other buses that were servicing it and creating a safety hazard, to the point where an old man fell down and cracked his head and was bleeding profusely. This was actually the stop, and the bus that I was waiting for, the bus that was, well, I wasn't actually waiting for, it was the bus I was wanting to get on, but I couldn't get on because dude was sitting inside his bus, like in the passenger seats, playing with his cell phone, completely oblivious to everything that was going on outside of the bus that was kind of disastrous and kind of his fault. Yeah, so that bus was a 60. It was sitting here in the bus pullout, blocking probably about 75% of it. Not leaving enough space behind it. As you can see here, this is all the space right there is where it starts to cut back into the road. Not leaving enough space for the 50 that needed to drop off here, while the soon-to-be 60 was just camping, wasting time. Yeah, so it ended up having to stop in the traffic lane. Ahead of where the soon-to-be 60, who was still marked as not in service, was camped out. Yeah, I used to really think bus pullouts were a good thing, and this is a pretty average-looking Phoenix bus pullout. You got enough room for one bus to stop here comfortably. Now, they don't accommodate the articulated bus. Those are the double buses with the turn in the middle of them. They don't accommodate articulated buses very well, and certainly they don't have space for two buses, so it creates a problem when a bus decides to just use this as a place to camp out for 10, 15 plus minutes until it's time for their route to start, or till it's after the time for their route to start, and they just notice, oh, I should be driving 5 minutes ago. And of course, this is nice. We've got a bus shelter here, and a nice decorative brick sidewalk in the area where bus passengers load and unload. I'm trying to see what that is. Okay, that's a 70. That is a 70 headed to. I miss being able to see these signs from this much distance. 70 headed to 24th Street and Baseline. So yeah, 70 is the route that goes north and south on 24th Street. Sometimes I forget that. I expected it would be a 24, which is kind of where the numbering goes. But the 70 does something that's actually really helpful. It goes northbound on 24th Street to the intersection of 24th Street and Lincoln. Now there's no service going eastbound in Lincoln because the millionaires that live along Lincoln, and then the part of Scottsdale where Lincoln, you know, enters Scottsdale, yeah, those people don't want the riffraff that's on the bus going through there, so there is no bus service there. Surprise, surprise. But when it gets to Lincoln, it goes west, and then within about a half mile, 3/4 of a mile, Lincoln kind of realigns and turns into Glendale Road, and the bus route continues on Glendale Road. I believe with some routes going as far as Luke Air Force Base, or awfully near. Although I think a very large majority of the routes stop before entering the town of Glendale and stop at 43rd Avenue, because Glendale doesn't like to provide adequate public transportation, but that's a separate tragedy. Anyway, the incident I was talking about. Oh, so anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked when I saw the 70 and thinking about how this route works. And I think this bus coming here is the bus I want, so I'm not going to be able to finish this. Anyway, just wanted to show you that those are the bushes in the curb that the old man tripped over that caused him to fall backwards and crack his skull on the curb. So, see a bus coming. I think this is the bus I need. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, I'm waiting for a 60. Thank you. So, wow, a 50 showed up before a 60 did. When I checked the bus schedule for what was happening at this stop, as I was approaching it, it showed that my 50 would be arriving 4 minutes late, and then a 60 would be arriving after that. I didn't check to see what was supposed to happen after that, but obviously the 60 has not shown up on time, and that 50 has either got ahead of schedule or it's on schedule, and the 60 is that much late. Welcome to how buses work here in Phoenix. Anyways, as I was explaining, yeah, so the bus, the 50 that I was on getting off trying to transfer to the 60 ended up having to stop here in the street, and I would say the exit doors probably landed right about here. These guys are like, where is this guy going? So I probably stepped off the bus, I want to say physically, like probably right about here, and had to walk across this and then up this curb. Not a big inconvenience, but as you see, it's you know, there's dirt there. It's not where pedestrians are supposed to be walking, and where his loading door was literally here in front of these bushes, which I'd like to note were taller at that time. The bush was probably about twice that tall, and it's been trimmed since then. Always nice to see bushes getting trimmed, though. Throwing that out there. In fact, if you could just trim that off completely and wax the area smooth, that would be even better. So anyway, I've been feeling a lot different about bus pullouts. When I was a cab driver and when I drove everywhere and didn't really ride the bus, I thought bus pullouts were great because they get the bus out of the way of the cars, giving zero thoughts to how those bus pullouts affect the bus drivers or the bus riders. Now that I've been spending an extended amount of time riding the bus and critically analyzing how different things affect bus service, I've grown to really dislike these things. I mean, they're kind of nice in that it does give a bus rider indication that, hey, look, there's a bus stop here, because there's actually not a bus stop sign here. Looks like there might have been one on this pole at one time, but yeah, there is absolutely not a bus stop sign at this bus stop. There is a shelter, and it does say bus on it, and I got one of these Next Ride bus stop number signs, but yeah, there's not an actual bus stop here. And as I've shown on several videos, the bus stop signs, the place where they used to mark on the signs what routes service that stop, they don't even really do that anymore. So yeah, for somebody just coming in here, like, I guess you can kind of tell this is a bus stop, but you have no idea what buses stop here. You know, it was nicer when there was a sign that said 50 and 60, so you knew. Anyway, what I found ends up happening with these bus pullouts is when vehicular traffic is heavy, they cause the bus to get further behind schedule. It creates, sure, the people who are driving that are not riding the bus, yay, gets the bus out of the way, fuck buses, they're in the way. But for people that are riding, the bus driver can get stuck in these pullouts when there's so much traffic going by that they can't safely exit, and they're just sitting there. The buses are just sitting there. It's bad enough they got to sit there and all the time it takes to load and unload people, but I mean that's a necessary evil. That's part of what they're doing. But yeah, they end up not being able to. They end up not being able to pull out. Because there's so much traffic coming behind them, and of course nobody's going to yield, to let a bus pull out. And why would they? I mean, the bus has the car's going straight and the right way to the bus pulling out of the bus pull out. So there's no reason they should. But it just creates a situation where the bus is stuck, sometimes for quite some time. One route where I've noticed it really gets the bus behind schedule, being stuck in pullouts, is the 17 going west, when I've taken it all the way out to 79th or 83rd Avenue to go to Amazon. Almost once you get west of, I want to say probably 51st Avenue. Once you get west of about 51st Avenue on McDowell, almost every bus stop has got the pullouts. And there's a lot of traffic on that stretch, vehicle traffic on that stretch of McDowell, and the buses pull over to drop off or maybe pick up one person, and then they're stuck in the bus pullout, sometimes for 2, 3, 4 minutes, and 2, 3, 4 minutes times 4 stops in a mile equals very late bus by the time it gets, to higher numbered avenues. So anyway, I was talking earlier when I realized that there's a 70 going right there, how this bus route, the 70, one going north and south on 24th Street, that I hardly ever use, so I'm not really on it, although now I'm thinking maybe I should be getting on that 70 there, but by the time I get there, it'll be gone. I can't cross that road and get to that bus in time to catch it from right now, so it's pointless. It's just a thought, just a fleeting thought. I sure would like to know why my 60 hasn't shown up yet. Anyway, it's a handy thing the way it goes north on 24th Street and then west on Glendale, because it allows somebody to go across town along more than one axis of just east and west or just north and south on a single route without having to deal with a transfer or delay. Now, granted, it only works for people going north on 24th Street and west on Glendale, but hey, at least it works for somebody. Back in the day, and I'm talking like maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, Valley Metro introduced a thing called, oh, I feel the wind kicking up. You probably can't hear me over the wind noise. Valley Metro introduced a thing that they called the Easy Routes. Now, one of them was basically just a rebranding of the Route 29. That was the green line, just goes east and west along Thomas. But there were 3 other ones that were very, very handy because they didn't just go east or west or north and south. They did a combination, allowing you to go cross town in a way that wasn't just straight north and south or straight east and west. And those were numbered as not numbered, but designated as the red line, the blue line, and the yellow line. The yellow line, for the most part, serviced Grand Avenue. And I forget exactly where it went. I didn't ride it very much. But it sure looked neat on the app. Grand Avenue doesn't really have a bus anymore. There is one called the Grand Avenue Limited. I'm not really sure what it does, but it's limited is an appropriate way to label it. Hey, there's my 60. Because it is very limited and offers very little service and very little stops, and it doesn't really do anything to bring people who are not driving along Grand Avenue. And I think it's functionally just an express bus that goes from downtown to Surprise, I think. The other ones, the Red Line, that was probably the busiest, hands down the busiest route in town. The Red Line more or less went where Phoenix Light Rail goes today. except it went all the way into Metro Center, to the Metro Center Transit, at a time when Metro Center was actually something. when there was actually a functional mall there, and there was just a lot of businesses there and residences there, and it wasn't just an area, you know, an area of closed up, shuttered up real estate, and a lot of blues addicts and homeless people and hobos. Back when it was literally a Metro Center, that's where the red line went, and I feel like to the west it went, or to the east it went all the way into Mesa. It said more or less it more or less serviced what Phoenix Light Rail services now. And then the blue line kind of did the opposite. It went from Paradise Valley Mall, and then I think it seems like it went from Paradise Valley Mall to downtown Phoenix. But yeah, it kind of did another sort of angle to the city. Anyway, bus is here, so I got to get on, and I'll explain this. Hopefully, explain more of this later.